Hey, what's going on guys? Arekkz here, and today we are talking about E3. I've already spoken up until this point about games that I would like to see, games that I'm looking forward to seeing at E3 from things that we know to be coming, but today I want to flip it on its head and I want to talk about 5 wild announcements that will probably never happen, but that I would still love to see. So if you guys enjoy this, then a like would be super appreciated. Comment down below, let me know what your wacky predictions are. There are no restrictions for this, it doesn't have to be believable, but just tell me, if you could have anything announced at E3, like no matter how wild, what would it be? Tell me in the comments down below. Now, let's start with my list. Number 1 is, hear me out, right? You're sitting in the E3 press conference, the lights go down, it's dark everywhere, and then you hear that Japanese drum beat coming in, and then you hear the kind of typical Naruto music come in, and then you hear that, and it kicks in, and then on screen it says, Naruto Fighters. Okay, maybe that's not how the trailer would go, because they would probably show you some gameplay first, and they would show you the title. Point is, Naruto, maybe Naruto and Boruto, because, you know, to be current and whatnot, I don't really care about Boruto. Naruto Fighters, as in Fighter Z. If you guys played Dragon Ball Fighters, you will know it is a fantastic game. It is one of my favourite fighting games, but it's interesting because when I spoke about that game back when it came out, I spoke about it because it's a game that I love from a fighting game standpoint, but I don't have as much attachment to it from an anime standpoint. I know this might sound blasphemous, but I'm not really a Dragon Ball fan, and that's not because I don't like it, it's just that I never grew up with it. For me, my Dragon Ball was Naruto, and therein lies the reason why I would rather have a Naruto fighting game than a Dragon Ball fighting game. We've had plenty of both, I get that. What I like so much about the Fighters concept, the Fighters kind of framework, the way that it's delivered, is that it's a lot of fun to play. It's kind of easy to pick up if you're not too familiar with fighting games, but there is of course that layer of depth beneath it if you want to invest more time into it, and it just looks fantastic. If you follow that game on the run up to release, the Dragon Ball Fighters one, you'll know that there were so many scenes that are literally true to the manga. There will be scenes where you could put the manga panels over the top of the gameplay scenes and it's basically like it's been traced. That's how true it was to it. And when you think about Naruto, when you think about some of the most epic scenes you've seen in Naruto, when you think about the Tail Beast fights, when you think about like Rock Lee versus Gaara, when you think about Sasuke and Naruto going toe to toe, when you think about stuff that Kakashi can pull off, the Jiraiya battle, or stuff that Pain can do, when you think about that in the context of a fighter's fighting game. I know we've seen Naruto fighting games before, like this isn't, I'm not trying to kind of sell you like a crazy concept like Naruto fighting games, we've had plenty of them. So we know what it'd be like to have epic Naruto moments in a fighting game, but specifically in a fighter's fighting game with that aesthetic, that detail, that parity with the manga, that would be incredible. I'll buy, you know what, right? If that gets announced, I'll buy 10 copies and I'll give away 9 of them. You've heard it here, right? Bandai Namco, if you're watching, I know it's not really a good sales pitch because I'm sure 10 copies is still not going to break even and make you kind of a successful business plan, but I'll buy 10 copies and I'll give away 9 of them if it gets announced. So, you know, come at me, cowards. Anyway, moving on from there to number 2, we have a game that is very dear to me. Now, this is one of those announcements where it would be an HD version of said game, so it's not really a new game per se, but I want to paint the scene again. Admittedly, in this one, there can't really be dimmed lights because this is something that would come in a Nintendo presentation, and they don't do theirs in like a big hall. They do theirs at E3 where the lights are on all the time. It really doesn't matter. Point is, what I'm saying is that let's just picture, it goes quiet for a minute, and you hear the bongo drums, and then you hear the Donkey Kong rap coming in the background. Picture that, right? And then, whoosh, on screen, all the characters roll in their like old school format, and then it does a pan across the screen, and then they all look super new and high definition and HD, and then the Switch comes on screen, and they're like, yo, Donkey Kong 64 on Switch in HD. Imagine, right? I'm sorry, but if you guys didn't play Donkey Kong 64, it was one of the best games that I've ever played. If I have to kind of do my top 10 games, I think some point last year, I think I did like a top 10 games of all time, and Donkey Kong 64 was in there. I said before, it kind of, for me, almost rivaled Mario 64, and I know that sounds crazy to say, but I just loved Donkey Kong 64 so much. It had the different characters you could play as a fan of like monkeys and apes. It kind of resonated with me really well when I was younger, you know, as someone that kind of wasn't too familiar with Donkey Kong to begin with. I was just like, that's really cool, because it's basically what I liked in Mario 64, with more characters and apes and more stuff to do. So that was basically my childhood way of looking at the game. But now that I look back at it, it was just such a fantastic game. It had all the 3D platforming stuff that I loved. It had all the different characters who all had very different abilities, which allowed you to then explore different aspects of the world. So you've almost kind of got that weird Metroidvania kind of style, because then when you have the different characters, they can then go back and do things you couldn't do before. You then have all the different weapons, you have the amazing music, you have the aesthetic. Honestly, Donkey Kong 64 was such a great game. And now that, Microsoft and Nintendo seem to be kind of getting friendly, and I know that Rare worked on it before, maybe they could be like, yo, Rare, can you do us a favor? Can you just do an HD remake on this? That would be real cool. I mean, I'll buy it. If it's just me, I'm gonna buy it. But hey, if they announce that, whew, I'll be so happy. In at number 3. Now this is a game that I always feel like I'm like a minority that likes this game. Anytime it's someone says, what's your guilty pleasure game? I say, Lost Planet. Now, announcements that will probably never happen, but Lost Planet 4. Now, I'll admit, if you've played all of them, Lost Planet 3 was a bit rubbish. In fact, it was quite rubbish. It was very rubbish. Let's pretend it didn't even exist. Lost Planet 1, however, was a brilliant game. And believe it or not, I'm not even a hugely competitive person. I was top 400 in the world at one point on Lost Planet 1. Don't go and try and say in the comments there were only 400 people playing the game, because there were not. There were more, alright? But I loved that game, right? And then Lost Planet 2 came out, and it had giant monsters that you could fight together. So it was like Monster Hunter meets Lost Planet. I mean, that was incredible. Lost Planet 3 will kind of brush it under the carpet, but Lost Planet 4, they could bring it back and they could redeem it. And maybe, if this was a crazy announcement, imagine this in the context of again, big show floor, big presentation. Since PlayStation isn't there, we'll say it's in Xbox's presentation. They announce it. They announce Lost Planet 4 and they say, coming 2020. So we've got to wait a little bit, but then they say, in the meantime, to keep you busy, we've remastered Lost Planet 1 and 2, and you can play that now on Xbox One, PS4, PC, and Switch. Oh, imagine. Lost Planet, if you guys didn't play it, it combined a lot of things I liked. I like snowy environments, just in any game, whether it be RPGs, MMOs, platformers, anything like that. Anytime you get to go to a snowy region, I like that. It had mechs, giant mechs that you could then climb into and battle. It had a grappling hook. Grappling hooks are always cool in games. It was just a really cool game. It was a third-person shooter, so there were really cool aspects to it. You can then customize your characters a little bit more so in Lost Planet 2. But yeah, I had a lot of fun with it. I really enjoyed it. And please, Capcom, you've been doing such a great job bringing back loads of games. Monster Hunter World was is their best-selling game. They've done great stuff with Resident Evil. They've done great stuff with some of their other titles. Yo, just bring us back Lost Planet. Make it happen. I'll be happy. And then moving on from there to number 4, I want to see Tales of Symphonia HD. Now, yes, again, I know that I'm saying one of my wild predictions is another game in HD. It's not really a new game. But you know what? I love Tales of Symphonia. The Tales of series is fantastic. I haven't played all of them. I've played some of them. I played more so the ones on the consoles than I did in the PSP, but Tales of Symphonia was my first Tales of game, and that is the one that I played so much. I played it on GameCube. I played that probably 3 times over, and considering it's an RPG, a JRPG, it's not a short game, so to play that 3 times over, that's quite a big time investment. I love that game. There's so much stuff to it. I've always been more of a fan of real-time combat. Apart from a few select games like Pokemon and other things like that, I'm not hugely into turn-based. I like to be able to have full control of my character. I like to know that if I go into a battle and the odds are stacked against me, the other person is stronger, if I'm good enough and I can kind of keep on the move and dodge and whatnot, then I can probably come out on top. Meanwhile, turn-based, it's well, if you're under-leveled and you get slapped, then you're dead. So, Tales of Symphonia was great because it allowed me to have that. There were so many customization options. You can get different costumes for your characters. There were cool weapons. There was a cool story, all the different characters, things like that. And for the longest time, it's been one of my favourite games, and I always kind of hoped that maybe we would have seen a Tales character in a Smash Brothers game. Alas, it never happened. And recently, given that they brought back Tales of Vesperia for, Switch and whatnot, then, it's not too far-fetched. Maybe this isn't a hugely wild idea, but I feel like given that they bypassed Symphonia, then maybe we're not going to get it. But you know what? That's my wish. That is my wish. And then finally, the last one. This is probably, of all of them, the least outlandish one, but still it's probably not going to happen. But the new character announcement for Smash Brothers, obviously we're going to get it at E3, and I'm really hoping that it's a Monster Hunter character. Now, the theory behind this is that in Smash Brothers, there's not really a great deal of Monster Hunter stuff. There's Rathalos as an entity, but on the spirit front, it's pretty barren. It's pretty sparse, right? And when you think about, say, when Persona, when you got the Joker character added, they added in a load of spirits, I'm feeling like maybe there's a big gap there for a particular reason, and a Monster Hunter character in Smash Brothers would be fantastic. Think about how it works in Marvel vs. Capcom. You've got the character, she can wield different weapons and different things like that. You could have it so that your neutral B attack could then be like charging a greatsword smash. You could have like your up B could be like jumping and pole vaulting with like an insect glaive. You could have, say, like your forward B could be, you know, I don't know, like a dual blade, like double spin. Basically, I want a Monster Hunter character in Smash Brothers. I don't even care how the character plays. I'll work out how to play it and I'll main that character if it happens. If it's a slow character, if it's a fast character, whatever. If I could pick, I'd probably want to kind of put it somewhere around like Link tier, so like, you know, weighty but not too heavy, not too slow but not too fast, kind of that mid-tier character. But yeah, if they announce that, oh my gosh, that would be incredible. But anyway, that's pretty much it. That was just a fun speculative video on crazy announcements that will probably not happen at E3. But if they do happen, then return to this video and we got some talking to do. I really hope you guys enjoyed that video. Remember to hit that subscribe button and also click on the little bell icon to turn on notifications so you don't miss my next upload. Also, don't forget, you can check out 269 and Paradise Central streaming over on Twitch 6 days a week. You can find a link to the multi-stream in the description box down below. Be sure to drop by and get involved. Thanks again for watching. Take it easy. Catch you next time. Peace out.